Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I am filming easily the toughest video of the year, because in today's video I am presenting you with my best books of 2024. We are going to do today's video with a little bit of twist. You guys know that I like to spice things up on this channel because to me, reading is such a complex experience. There is absolutely no way that I can curate a list of, I don't know, top 10, top 12, top 15, whatever, books, best books of 2024. So instead of that, I decided to do exactly what I did last year when I presented the best books of 2023 and create a book awards show. I created different categories, 11 categories to be exact, and I decided to include my top 3 books for each category. I went through every single book that I read in 2024, a total of 114 books, to pull out the absolute best ones to recommend to you guys. And now, without any further ado, let's just get to the awards show itself. First category is the best new release of 2024. And usually this would be my favorite category to present because you guys know that I'm a new release whore. I read so many new releases each year, but this year I was just somehow not good. I had so many anticipated releases for 2024, it's insane. And the books did not really live up to the expectations, I'm not going to lie. But luckily, I was still able to find and read 3 books that I absolutely adored, and I want to recommend them to you guys. So the third place in this category goes to The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. The second place in this category goes to, can you guess? Funny Story by Emily Henry. I know, I know. Well, this is definitely my favorite Emily Henry. No, this is not the book that actually ended up being my #1 new release for 2024, because that book is The Djinn Waits 100 Years by Shubnum Khan. This book surprised me. It made me so incredibly emotional. There were some chapters, and especially the end of this book, when I teared up a little bit, and it is not easy to make me cry. This book takes place in South Africa, and specifically it takes place in a mansion that is by the sea, and we follow a djinn who haunts this mansion, and we also follow a very curious young girl, more like a teenager, who is uncovering a tragedy that happened in that mansion about 100 years ago. I adored everything about this book, guys. I love the atmosphere in the book, and this book got some gothic vibes to it, and I think that this would be perfect to read in the fall. And there were some scenes in this book that were so creepy, they genuinely freaked me out, especially in the beginning of the book where I just didn't really understand what the hell was happening. But besides the atmosphere, I truly adored the found family vibes in this book and all the characters. You guys know I'm a character-driven reader, and when an author gives me a lot of characters who are very well-rounded and fleshed out and they have their own stories, I love that. I love that. Truly, I'm yours. You give me that and I'm yours. And that's exactly what happened in this book. I cared for every single characters. And also, I enjoyed the humor in this book. This book was not written to be funny, but some characters I found really funny. All right, the next category is Best Character, and I'm not necessarily talking about character design when it comes to this category, but more like the character's journey in the book, the character arc and the character development. And I am in love with every single one of these characters that I am about to present to you guys. First, of course, I have to mention Emily Wilde from the Emily Wilde series. I read the second book this year, Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Land, and I adore this book. I adore Emily's character. I also really like the relationship between Emily and Wendell, because that banter that is going on between them in the books, it gets me every single time. But specifically, it is Emily's character that I just truly adore, and I see a little bit of me in Emily. There is a little bit of resemblance there, okay? That's all I'm saying. The second place goes to the entire Cruel Prince series. And I know I said that this category is not necessarily about the character design, and that's not why I included the Cruel Prince series in this category. It's truly like the individual characters. I mean, come on, Cardan and Jude, like separately and together, I mean, come on, they are characters, okay? But I do want to give a special shout out to Holly Black, because in this series, what she did with the character design and how she presented the Fae in a way that is mythologically speaking correct, I just loved it. I loved it. Everybody had a different skin color, blue and green and horns and different animal features, and the way they speak and the way they behave. This was the first book that I read in 2024, and this book is an all-time favorite of mine, okay? The first place goes to Tom Severin in Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. And I cannot believe that I am actually putting a male character to first place, because it's not a female character. It's not about Cassandra in this book, but it is about Tom Severin. And I do feel bad about it, because I cannot really say much about Tom Severin's character, because if I did, I would completely ruin this book and this reading experience for you, because it is about how he speaks and how he behaves and that beautiful character arc that he actually has in this book. So I'm not gonna tell you why I actually decided to put him as number one. But if you read this book, I'm sure you understand why Tom Severin is the best character, like the best character ever, but definitely the best character that I read about in 2024. This is her magnum opus. You have to pick up the Ravenel series. And when you get to Chasing Cassandra and Tom Severin, you can think of me and you can thank me. And the next category is the best debut novel of 2024, and this is only for fiction. I didn't include any non-fiction specifically in this category, and I have only 2 books to present to you guys. It's a bit of a problem. I think in 2025 I have to pay a little bit more attention to supporting debut authors. The second place goes to A Short Walk Through a Wide World by Douglas Vesterbeek. I think that this was a very decent novel, and this book is recommended to the lovers of The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, and I wouldn't go that far to say that this book can live up to The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue, but I did see some similarities when it comes to this book. So this is the one that's the second place. And the first place goes to Youth Juice by, I always forget the name of the author, E.K. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the author's last name, but this is her debut. And again, I think that this was a very solid debut in 2024, and I hope that she will write other books. I will definitely keep an eye out for this author, and hopefully soon I will learn her name. When I saw this book coming out, I knew I had to pick it up because I am a skincare girly. In the world of beauty, I always found skincare a lot more fascinating than makeup. And this book, just like that other book that I absolutely adored, Natural Beauty by Ling Huang, these 2 books have some very interesting commentary on the beauty industry and specifically skincare. This book takes place in New York City in a wellness spa called Hebe, and our character will discover in this book what length is she willing to go for beauty. And in this book, she quite literally becomes obsessed with a moisturizer called Youth Juice. The next category is the best cover of 2024, and this is the shallow category, okay? This is for shallow people like me, because yes, I buy books for their covers, okay? And just to make everything clear, this is about the covers of the books that I read in 2024, not the ones that I bought in 2024. For that, I created a completely separate video that I will leave in the description box down below if you want to check it out. These 3 books are books that I read in 2024, and I am absolutely obsessed with them. I cannot say that I love the content that much, but again, in this case, it's all about the outside and it's not about the inside. And the 3rd place in this category goes to Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I showed you guys this book in so many different videos, like at least in 3 other videos. So I know that you guys are sick and tired of me. So I'm not going to talk about Wuthering Heights anymore, okay? Now the 2nd place goes to this beautiful, 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 gorgeous copy of Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And it's the same situation. I know that there are so many other videos out there that I uploaded that specifically talks about this book ad nauseum. So again, I will not bore you guys with my love for this book, though in both of these cases, it's not just the outside, but the inside that is also absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, mwah, chef's kiss. The 1st place goes to, can you guess? I will give you guys a second. Just guess in the comments down below. What do you think? It is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo, a book that I absolutely hated. It's not, I shouldn't use the word hate. I feel that that is a little bit strong wording to use in this video, but let's say I didn't really understand the point of this book. But the cover design, and the design of the book itself is beyond gorgeous. It works, everything. The colors, the chain, the Scorpio, everything. Beautifully done. Shout out to the designer. And the next category is for the best audiobook of 2024. And guys, this was actually a really, really tough category because I read some truly amazing audiobooks this year. But these top 3 are again chef's kiss. And the 3rd place goes to Paris by Paris Hilton. This is her memoir, and she is the one who actually narrates this book. She was not the one who wrote it. She wrote it with a ghost writer, and she acknowledged the ghost writer in this book. You guys let me know what you think of this whole Hollywood and celebrity memoir and ghost writing obsession that is going on right now in the world. I know that I am not against ghost writers as long as, you know, the celebrity owns it, and as long as the ghost writers are acknowledged and are paid, I am okay with it. I don't want ghostwriters to be exploited, you know, in the publishing industry. But again, as long as they are acknowledged and paid, I absolutely see, like, you know, nothing wrong with this situation. Paris Hilton did an absolutely fantastic job narrating her own book. I had the same feeling reading this book that I had when I read the Britney Spears memoir. That is also something that I absolutely adored last year. I felt that both of these books were here and there in certain chapters, and when they discussed certain matters and certain things that happened to them, I felt that these books were watered down. Maybe there is a reason for that, you know, maybe there is a legal reason for that. And also I can only imagine that, you know, after reading about everything that, for example, Paris Hilton went through, I guess that it must be a very traumatic experience, and probably she had to do a lot of therapy to be able to, you know, look back at her life and to actually narrate this book. Because, you know, when you narrate your own book, you inevitably relive a lot of the trauma that you already went through, and she did it, and she did a fantastic job. So shout out to Paris Hilton. And the 2nd place goes to Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but specifically I listened to the audiobook, the Audible exclusive audiobook by Rosamund Pike, and guys, the hype is real. If you can get your hands on the Rosamund Pike audiobook, that is what you have to listen to. It is It is an experience so nicely done. And the number one place goes to, and again guys, this was an incredibly tough choice, but the number one place goes to The Governor's Game by Tessa Dare. This is the second book in the Girl Meets Duke series, and just like the Ravenels for Lisa Kleypas, I believe that the Girl Meets Duke series is Tessa Dare's magnum opus, and this is the series that she is still currently writing. And I adore the first book, and the audiobook for the first book was also fantastic, but in this one, Mary Jane Welsh, who is the audiobook narrator, she did a fantastic job. Like, listening to the audiobook and the way she narrated it is just elevated this whole experience. Like, genuinely fantastic job. I cannot say that she does an incredible job in every single book that she narrates. She has a very funny American accent. In this book there are no Americans, so I'm just like talking about Mary Jane Welsh in general. I have read a couple of other books from her and I was like, you can do a better job than this girl, okay? But in this one, shout out to her, because this is one of her best audiobooks that I have listened to so far. And in this book, our main protagonist, Alexandra, she becomes kind of an accidental governess to two little young girls, orphans, and she has now this impossible task to try to shape these little ladies into proper ladies, right? Acceptable in English society. And while she's doing that, maybe, just maybe, she will start falling in love with their guardian. The next category is the best plot of 2024, and this category is specifically about books that had very unique plots, and it's about books that were full with unforeseen twists and turns, okay? And in this category, the third place goes to The Truth Hurts by Rebecca Reed. This book was included in one of my reading vlogs that, again, I will leave in the description box down below. The second place goes to Heroes and Villains by Angela Carter. And these two books are included in the same vlog. I said it in that video and I say it again. Heroes and Villains by Angela Carter is easily the most peculiar piece of feminist literature that I had ever read in my life. That is my review. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you have to read this book. But I did not see it coming, okay? And the number one place in this category goes to My Husband by Maud Ventura. And guys, when I say I did not see it coming, I did not see it coming. And unfortunately, again, I cannot say much about this book because I don't want to spoil this book and the experience for you. So all I'm gonna say is that I did not see it coming and my jaw dropped. My jaw was on the floor when I read this book. This book is about a 40-year-old French lady. This book is translated fiction from French. And this lady is literally obsessed with her perfect husband. And it's obsession to the point where it is definitely not healthy. She is unhinged. And this book is unhinged, and I just keep saying I did not see it coming. And the next category is one that I am really excited about. Well, I am excited for all categories, but specifically for this one because this is about fantasy. This is about the best world building, the best imaginary world. And again, it only makes sense for fantasy. Like when it comes to contemporary or historical fiction, no, it just doesn't make any sense. This category, and again, this was tough, okay? The third place goes to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And we already discussed this book and this world. I did not expect, okay, what Holly Black created in that book or book series, because it is still ongoing. The spin-off is still ongoing, right? The second place goes to Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. And do I really need to explain it why? One of the best freaking fantasy books that I ever read in my life. And it's not just about the world building, but also about the characters. But what he did, excuse me, what he did there with the world building and with the colors and the whole magic system, I was like, now I understand why Brandon Sanderson is the rage, right? And now I have to read every single one of his books, and that's gonna be a journey. First place goes to Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. And you guys know exactly how obsessed I am with this book. I dedicated a completely separate reading vlog for this book. I can't. I read this book in the summer and I still don't understand. I still cannot wrap my head around these worlds that George R.R. Martin and Brandon Sanderson, like specifically these two authors, create. Like, I feel that to be this level talented, you have to be born like that. I don't doubt that these men work very hard, but I also believe to be able to come up with ideas and worlds and characters like this, you have to be born this talented. Just in case you never read this book and you never watched the TV show, because the TV show House of the Dragon is based on this book. This book takes place centuries before the events of Game of Thrones, which is now also something that I have to read, and I have to put it on my 2025 TBR, okay? Because after this, I am reading Game of Thrones. Anyways, so this book takes place centuries before Game of Thrones, and basically we are following the Targaryen family in this book, and I am obsessed with it. I am obsessed with the world, I am obsessed with the dragons, and I am obsessed with the characters. And what surprised me so much after reading like this 700 something pages long book, where we get so many characters, you just simply cannot keep a tab on these characters. There are like hundreds, if not thousands, well, that's maybe too much, but there are hundreds of Targaryens in this book. And George R.R. Martin still makes you care for and feel for every single one of them. And you know exactly how the story ends. You know exactly how the story ends, and still, when they die, you're just like, oh my God. Like, I feel that I need to wear black now, and I need to go and mourn in private. And the next category is the best romance of 2024. And this category is not necessarily about the romance to me, though in the #1 book it is about the romance. But I also wanted to include books here that are about family, found family, as well as friendship. And considering all this, the third place goes to, regrettably, I am about to cause trouble. I have spoken about this book on my channel so many times. It is one of the best books that I ever read in my life, and specifically I put this book on the list because of the found family vibes. So dear to me. I adored the characters in this book. And the second place goes to the entire Duke Meets Girl series by Tessa Dare, because I absolutely adore the friendship between these ladies. Emma, Alexandra, Penelope, and Nicola, and her cookies. I mean, come on. Like, every time I think of the character of Nicola, I just want to eat sorbet cookies. Anyways, it is the friendship. I adore the entire series, like, for so many different reasons, but the friendship between these four ladies and how they understand each other and how they help each other, I find it very emotional and I find it very moving. So basically the entire series, though it is still ongoing, it goes to second place in this category. And the first place goes to basically the entire War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent. This is my ultimate romantasy, okay? For so many reasons, but one of the reasons is the romantic relationship and also the friendship between Max and Tisana. It is just a whole new level. If you never read the War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent, I highly, highly recommend. I know that she has this other series, the vampire series that is so famous. I don't necessarily understand the hype for those books. I personally think that the War of Lost Hearts series is much better, and that's the series that should be hyped. I read the first book last year or the year before that, I don't really remember, and then I read the second book and the third book this year, and this book series ruined romantasy for me, because there is absolutely no way that I will find another romantasy book series that is this level of masterpiece. And the next category is best book of 2024 by genre. So in this category, we will go through every single genre that I read and I read in 2024, and I am going to show you the book that is, in my humble opinion, the best. And I spent hours, guys, hours curating this list for you, so I do hope that you agree with me. The best fiction goes to My Husband by Maud Ventura. The best fantasy goes to Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. Best romantasy goes to, again, the entire War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent. Just love it so much. Best thriller / horror goes to Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This book knocked my socks off, okay? It was so good. The best short story or short story collection is definitely Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. Best contemporary romance, Funny Story by Emily Henry. Best historical fiction was, regrettably, I Am About to Cause Trouble by Amy McNee. The best historical romance, based on simply the number of rereads that I did in 2024, is definitely Chasing Cassandra by Lisa Kleypas. The best classic that I read in 2024, it has to be Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. But guys, this was incredibly tough. This was incredibly tough, and I have to give a shout out to Wuthering Heights, because with all honesty, I am obsessed with both of these books and with both of these writers, okay? Best nonfiction goes to It Ended Badly by Jennifer Wright. This is one of the most entertaining nonfiction books that I've ever read in my life. It goes through 13 of the worst breakups in history, okay? I can highly recommend this book. The next category is the best video of 2024, and this is all about you guys, because I went into YouTube analytics and I looked at the different view numbers that my videos got, and here are my top 3 videos, basically ranked by you guys based on the view numbers. The very first one is my summer unhaul video that, for whatever reason, you guys adored. Second place goes to my top 10 all-time favorite book recommendations video, and the first place goes to my very first Little Free Library video. And the last category in today's book awards show is best of times, and this basically means that these are the books that were so funny that I laughed out loud reading these books. And the third place in this category goes to the entire Lore Olympus series. And honestly, when I built this category and when I was going through my books, I was a little bit hesitant to put Lore Olympus on the third place, because something happens at the end of the first book that is very serious, and this is not funny at all. There is nothing funny about it. And in general, when it comes to this series does discuss a lot of very heavy topics. But in general, when I think of this book, I think of the fantastic graphics and also some of the incredibly funny interactions between the characters and the humor. And just because a book has some kind of humor, it doesn't mean that it cannot discuss some very heavy and important topics. Number 2 is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. Every single time I read this book cracks me up. Hala and Sarkis, and especially when I listen to the audiobook and Sarkis is narrated as like a Scottish character, it gets me every single time. And the first place goes to, and this is not going to be a surprise to many of you, but that has to be a Tessa Dare book. And I specifically went for a Duchess deal, but with all honesty, I could put so many different Tessa Dare books as first place. Nobody's humor is like Tessa Dare's. Nobody does it like Tessa Dare. Period. And in this book, both Emma's and Ash's character and the way that the banter is done in this book, it cracked me up. And I laughed out loud so many times. And every time I reread this book and this entire series, I know that a joke is coming. I know that it is happening, and I still laugh. Okay? Freaking masterpiece. Number one has to be Tessa Dare. It's not even a question. This is it, guys. This is the end of my little annual award show. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I was able to give you some really good book recommendations. Let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of them. And also, you can give me some recommendations for 2025, okay? You guys let me know what were your best books of 2024. If you want to do it the same way like I did, based on categories, please do so. Now hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I wish you all a very, very, very happy and fruitful 2025, and I see you guys soon in another video. Bye!